the Robinhood Capitalists. I'm your host, DJ Flores. With me, of course, as always, my coach and mentor, Coach Stacy V. Coach, man, I feel like the calendars are just flying by right now. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. I mean,
Tomorrow is December.
tomorrow's December, right? So,
Yeah.
guys, listen, last month of the last quarter of the year. I can promise you, this is something that we would talk about in sales chatter. I'll say it though now. It, don't beat yourself up if you're short of goals now. Start to plan for next because it's always 6 months. You got to put in the grind 6 months for what's gonna come filling out next. And it's just that whole reaping what you and harvesting, and so it takes time, guys. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's the
don't kill
law
yourself.
law
Don't beat
law of
yourself up.
Hitler. Yeah. That's a
It
universal
is.
law, man. There's a law of gestation that has to take place.
It
The
has to.
results in life that we get now were from our thinking 6 months ago. So make sure your thinking is where it needs to be now.
Yes. And if you're thinking is stinking so well in your life, I think Zig Ziglar says that. And then again, another one stuck in my head. But man, Coach, this is fun doing this. Obviously, I love Tuesday sharing, getting to talk a little bit about. I was talking to my brother actually yesterday or the day before. I was like, dude, I got to share some stories of like Club Kobe and all that stuff, and like, this is crazy. And it just triggered a lot of things. So obviously we got to talk backstage a little bit, and uh, there's some other things that triggered that I want to get into. But before we get into that, obviously we're not going to show the video, but you all might have seen this. If you didn't,
Yeah.
just look up Elon Musk, his name. Just look it up. You'll see it everywhere. Now, he before we get into what I wanted to, and that's why I'm doing this pre-show. Before we do the intro, is man, was that first off, Coach? What did you think? Like
Well, the whole Elon saga is just I mean it's been amazing to watch. He was the hero of the left. He was changing the world, the hero of the left. He
yeah,
shows the world that he's a free speech absolutist, which me too.
me too.
And all of a sudden they turn on him and now he's supposedly far right even though he's never been politically right at any point in
Never,
history. and
never.
and watching this evolution, and then yesterday basically GFY to Disney and all the largest
He even
possible
called Bob out from
called.
Disney. Like he
You're
called
probably
him.
watching.
He said, if you're in the audience, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But like, what I want people to understand is like David Perez. Shout out Mr. BYOE. And if you guys aren't following him, follow him. He's got amazing things going on. But uh, he nailed it with when he was on our show. He said, who is going to win today is going to be strong to their opinions or convictions, and they're going to say it no matter what. And I think Elon is now showing that too.
Well,
He
and one of the sad
just,
parts about this is that everybody's focusing on the language, on what he told them to GFY. They're not focusing on what he said towards the end or the middle, depending on the clip you watch. But what he said is there's too many people in the world that just want to look good, that they're doing good. I've actually done more for the environment than any human being alive. We sell more Teslas, and I did no advertising. But the comment that what he meant is actions are better than feelings. It's not just about looking like you're doing something, it's about actually doing something. Man, that
yes.
was my favorite part of everything he said.
I agree. I love that you brought that up. I thought the same thing. I'm like, Elon, yes. Like, but even go deeper with that, and it's what we talk a lot about on here: marketing, branding, being known. Elon's obviously done an amazing job with that and selling the Teslas again, with no marketing. There you go. But the whole
Zero.
concept the whole concept of this was somebody else threatening to not market, or basically using the power of money to try to control what somebody does or think. And I think if everybody isn't woken up to that today, I mean, that's if you don't if you're not being honest with yourself and aren't very aware of like, am I doing this for money or is there a bigger purpose? I think that's kind of what we get down to. I mean, that's what our mission statement is of the show. Our mission statement is not to help you be rich, or again, rich and having a bunch of money is not the goal. Freedom, wealth. A wealthy person is not a rich person. A rich person has a lot of money. A wealthy person has a lot of time to do whatever they want. with their time because they
and
figured out the game.
and
And
they've got
that's,
a purpose. They're
yeah,
living into that purpose. We've got to keep bringing it back to that.
absolutely, yeah.
Living
And
for
it's,
more than just ambition, or we're living for something that's more important than me, than you.
and that's where you nailed it with what Elon said. He's changed again. There's the superficial way of, oh, I donated to this and I donated to that and I'm doing this events and hey, give us money for Hawaii, the Rock, and
Have you not seen all the little icons in my bio? You can tell I really
yeah,
care.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The Rock and Oprah. Shame on you. But anyways, but I literally like it's he is changing the world, and like you said, he was because the left, the whole world is gonna blow up soon, and whatever other things they think of, and we need electric everything, and they're not even connecting the dots of that. I mean, he went that direction. He's like, look, guys, I'm thinking this, I'm doing this, I see that vision, but I see there's more too. And I think this was the line. That's what I'm saying. Like it felt like this was the line for him now, that it was he was okay being the behind the scenes, making a difference in the world when nobody's even giving him credit for it. So okay, now you guys are gonna like because I'm not playing your game and I'm not gonna say everything you want me to or think everything you want me to, like you're gonna start threatening me. Like uh,
Yeah,
I
two years ago, I don't think anybody would have placed a dime on Elon Musk becoming the guardian of free speech for
right.
the world.
Amazing. So, Elon, thank you. Thank you from us. Hopefully, because we're talking about you, we don't get this episode like some of ours doesn't get cut. YouTube, shame on you. But literally, I just I mean, why can't we say, like, here's where we need to get, and here's why I love what David said. And we'll get into the intro here and really get to what we were talking about. But man, I seen this last night and I was like, hold on, is this fake? Because today is it AI? Is it deep fake videos? Is it what is it? We don't even know what's real anymore. But so I was like, is it fake? And then when I see it popping up everywhere, oh my goodness, no, this is not fake. This is real. He really said this. So I'm
Yeah,
like, Coach, we got to
and
talk about this
live on CNBC. So
live. I mean, it was insane. But again, props to you, Elon. He's fighting for speech, and he's showing you this is what it comes down to. But I think again, to Elon and to David, guys, it be I seen this kid Luke, Capital Club. I don't know if he's made money just Bitcoin, if he's a Bitcoin millionaire like a lot of these kids, or where he made his money. But he's all over TikTok, and he said one thing that it was like, yes, yes, that's exactly you're right. Um, it's there's nothing we can really say or do that we should be afraid of what we say or do to who it's going to bother. Like we need to be able to just say what we feel, and it's just words. Like as long as there's no physical harm, like we need to be able to talk these things out, and people don't there is no talking differences out anymore. It's
no,
literally, oh, you think this? No, well, I don't want to listen to you. You can't talk. I mean, depending on how much power they have, like, no, you're not allowed to say that. No, like
I mean,
that's
you can stand up and say, I 100% support A. They're going to come right back with, why do you hate the 25 other letters of the alphabet? How can you be so intolerant to those other 25 letters? Which that's so ridiculous. I'm just stating my opinion that I like this. I believe this. This
yeah,
is what I think.
that's
It's
and
just
everybody's
unreal that words are now considered violence.
right.
Unbelievable. Ludicrous. Crazy.
Unbelievable. But so, guys, again, authenticity. Back to Luke. He said it. There's vibrations. Authenticity is the highest vibration. Do your research. It's out there. It's real. Authenticity is the highest vibration, higher than love, higher than gratitude. It is the biggest, and it's being you. So be you, no matter what. Be you, and people who like and appreciate what you have to say, they'll come with you, they'll find you, I
Yeah.
promise.
Yeah,
So
and most people have trouble just knowing who they are. So using the
mm,
tools like DISC and the five voices and having mentors in your life, that'll help you determine and figure out, okay, now I know my values. Now I know my purpose. Now let me start growing and living into that, and be who I'm supposed to be. That's where we can get away from this world that we're in now, where people just feel like nothing matters.
Oh man, I love that you said that, Coach. And Damon said 100%. Thank you, Damon. Shout out. Thanks for catching us this morning. But yeah, it really is. You got to be strong, guys. Be strong to your convictions. Be strong to your feelings. And again, if you're doing something that gives you that weird feeling, I end the shows, but I'll say it now. Like there are feelings that you feel, and I had that feeling for a long time. Sunday nights, Monday mornings, kids have it. Sundays, I was not a. I hated school. I mean, I'll say that I did okay in school, but I hated school because I didn't really see the value of what they were teaching. Now, learning, obviously, I don't stop learning. I'm reading books more out of school than I did in school. But it's because like I know my purpose. I kind of knew and had that feeling all along and just knew and was fighting through it no matter what. But guys, you got to feel that. Feel that. It's there. Like don't let anything around you, if you feel like you're just constantly trapped and you can't say what you want to say, you're not in the right area. You're not in the right with the right people. You're not with the right environment. Find more better people that you can feel safe to voice whatever you feel. And they're just going to appreciate that either way. They
Yeah,
might
that's the
not
power of inner
agree with
circle.
you, but it's okay. I mean, I have people that are in my inner circle. Thank you for saying that, Coach. But yeah, I have people in my inner circle that I know direct. My wife is probably one of them. She directly opposite thinker of me. I mean, we just had this talk the other day. She's like, I am so opposite of the way you think in a lot of things. I'm like, no, you're not really. We're very similar, but I know what you're saying. But that's again, but she does have a different feeling. That's okay.
Yeah.
Certain things you don't
So,
have to
so,
agree.
so
Sometimes you can agree,
in
you
your
can
inner
disagree.
circle, that's what you want in your inner circle. You want people who share your values, but think differently.
Yeah.
Because if we've said it a bunch of times on the show, but if we're all thinking exactly alike, one of us is redundant.
Amen to that, and shout out to JTH for that one. But yeah, he said that, and that's probably one of the things that stuck in my head the most of being with John for that period of time. He said that religiously, and he really does believe that and lives that. And I mean that's again testament to John is the people he has around him, the team he has around him is what it's about. I mean that's what if people don't understand that if you think it's one person, it's not Elon doing what Elon's doing. It's the team around him. Anybody who you're looking up to or thinking they have a team. It's not just them. They might be in the end the face or the voice of it, but it's not just them. They have a team. I promise you.
Yeah,
And it's that inner circle, and it's the people who are not thinking like you, along with the people that are. If you have the right inner circle, like we talked about, but
yeah.
again, we went.
It's not easy. It has to be intentional because we naturally attract people that are like us and think like us. So
Mm,
the people we naturally attract may not be the best choice. You have to be very intentional. Who do I need in my inner circle? Who's been where I want to go, but yet shares my values?
yes.
And so it's a very intentional process. It's you can't just let it happen by chance.
And with that intentional coach, you're always leading us right there. So we're going to stay with intention. The intention of the show, again, this is sidebar, really just Elon and that whole thing kind of was like, hey, we gotta go a little longer intro.
Yeah,
But again,
it was earth shattering. You can't let
it,
that go.
it really was. It really was. So yeah, guys, if you didn't see it, check it out. I was again, it was. I think you're going to see a lot more of it. Don't be shocked. That's all I'll tell you. Don't be shocked. You're going to see a lot more of that. But I really want to get into the intention again of the show. We really just want to share more stories of what we've been through, what we've gone through. So obviously today we're going to go into a strategy that we're then going to talk about probably a future guest that I know Coach is pretty good friends with, Stan Phelps, and I actually got to meet him for the first time. I've seen his books and heard the goldfish books and theories, and I loved it obviously because of colors, and I have the whole Rubik's cube thing, so it made a lot of sense. But had a strategy that I learned from kind of the grind of really, we'll get into being going from a store manager making $7 an hour to a regional manager in 6 months for a small authorized dealer of a cell phone company. So a franchise basically of a cell phone industry. So want to share that, and then we'll get into some of Coach. I'm sure Coach will have some good questions after, and then we'll get into the theory that I really think tied what I learned those days in the cell phone world to what even was kind of, I guess, the secret sauce. We'll leave it that right now for the Club Kobe Jam, and why these kids were coming from the east side and all over to this club that we'd spend $0. There was no internet. We didn't even know how to market. We literally just went and passed out flyers. How did it grow to what it did? We'll get into that more. Get ready, y'all.
Tease.
You get one heartbeat song. Take it seriously. This is your masterpiece. Don't forget to dream and taste the colors in the air you breathe. It's your masterpiece. Go ahead and feel it all. Don't stop till it is beautiful. Don't stop till it is beautiful. Don't stop till it is beautiful.
That's right, y'all. Don't stop till it's beautiful. You do have a masterpiece. Everybody does. As soon as we wake up, it's a brand new day canvas to do whatever you want. But with intention, with purpose, again, coach, and self-awareness, those are our things. I mean, we clearly have a passion for that, an obsession, I guess. I'll speak for myself. I have an obsession with it. It's just a journey I'll never be off of. Purpose and passion, and why did I wake up today? Why do I have another 24 hours to do this? What am I here for? But I think it's going back to like I started with the tease, like you said, the Club Kobe Jam. It was so obviously our passion or purpose was me and my brothers, we loved dancing. We loved we had just a passion for music. We grew up with music. There was always music in the house, and different music. My dad was back in the day a big fan, especially 80s, 90s, of Bon Jovi, Janet Jackson, different people like that. Then my mom is John Cougar, but then my dad is, old school, and always the classic rock was on. So a lot of big different mixes of music, and music was always a big thing. But and that's why I love that song, and why I'm so picky on the songs, and I guess why I fought for, like, hey, we're just gonna play the song regardless, because I think there's so much to it besides just the tone or the sound of it, but the words. I mean, these are stories. These are, especially the right artist like Andy Grammer. I mean, he really spills out a lot of purpose, a lot of story. And I mean, his newest song, "Love Is the New Money." If you guys haven't heard that or don't think that, you're crazy, because money is not what you think it is. It's not what it's gonna be. It's not what it's been. It's changing, and things are changing. But I Club Kobe Jam, it was an experience that I'll never forget. It was it was all that everybody talks about, Coach, with working. Now, I know you said your dad with the insurance. Did you ever work with your dad during when he had the insurance agency?
No, that wasn't the kind of thing that I could be really a part of. But
Okay.
other than just kind of going to the office and um, virtually every time you're in the car, we're listening to Zig Ziglar and uh, Norman Vincent Peale and Earl Nightingale and that sort of stuff. But and so I got indoctrinated into the personal growth industry really early on, and that sort of thing.
I'll tell you, Coach. I love to hear that, because obviously I was not raised with that. I just told you the music and stuff we listened to. My dad was working all the time. Again, my parents chose that life. They chose to hold to a lot of old school traditions and standards that are impossible today. One parent working, impossible. A lot of those things, impossible. But they held to those
Yeah,
through
yeah. So
all of
so
that.
so so did mine. Same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
My folks are my dad's 89 now. My mom 86. So they came out of the Depression era, and so my dad, they didn't even have electricity in the house until he was in 8th grade. Um, he got an extra job in the army and sent money home so they could actually put the bathroom in the house. So he never had indoor plumbing growing up. It was
Really?
he took an extra job slinging Pepsis in Alaska when he was in the army, just so they could send money back home for that.
Oh
And
my goodness, we're gonna have to talk more
so,
about that.
so they were raised
My
somewhat
grandpa was in
differently.
Alaska too. Actually,
Oh
my
yeah,
grandpa was in Alaska before he worked on the. My mom's told me a few stories. So my grandpa, my mom's dad, had died when I was only 10. So I really only knew like little memories. I wish I could have talked more about this stuff because I have so many questions like that I wish like because again, I don't think there is any such thing as coincidence. I think there's a lot of patterns and things, and our lives are a lot of patterns of things that have happened through generations, and we either learn from them or just keep doing the same things. But
yeah, yeah. Well, he came back, and so you asked did I work with him? Uh, he had farmed his whole life, but they farmed, with a mule and had one little tractor. And when he got back from the army, my grandfather had been sick and wasn't able to keep the farm, so there was nothing left to farm.
uh,
So if that hadn't happened, then yeah, I would have grown up completely working. So what I like to tell people is, growing up on a farm, you learn a lot about hard work. And what my cousins will tell you is, I know a lot about hard work because I watched them do a lot of it.
That's so funny. But shout out to your dad for making listening to that while you're driving because and I love hearing that you said that because I did that to my kids, not on purpose, until they started like saying things, my older ones especially. Like they were like, Dad, why are you always listening to this? Oh, motivate. And then they'd always, it's funny. Then they'd talk with Maggie back and forth, like, oh, we got to motivate. We got to do this. We got to do that. And I'm like, hold on, you're listening. Okay, so then I started to
That's
on
right.
purpose, like I'm playing it, not like turning it up on purpose, but like they're soaking this in, even though it's just playing and I'm listening to it. They're listening to it, even though they're not listening to it. And so yeah, and hopefully it does pay off for them like it did for me because it wasn't something I grew up with. I don't know what took me that. Maybe it was just sales, being in sales. Sales was a lot of training, a lot of that. So it
Yeah.
probably was a lot of that. But
That's where most people get into it is through sales because it's so hard to keep your mindset where it needs to be. I mean, that's the old Zig Ziglar thing. He says, people tell me this motivation thing's great, but it doesn't last. And he says, well, neither does bathing, but I recommend you do it every day. so, so that's how this works. You just do it continually. But I made the transition because I went from, my Lord, can't we just listen to music one day going to school? Why we always got to listen to this guy? I went from that to, you're telling me he gets paid to travel all around the world and just talk? How do you get that gig? And so,
yes, good for you. I love it. That's so funny. And what, shout out to you for that. But I thought the same thing. But I'm like, hold on. All these people are talking about things that I love, and they get paid for doing this.
yeah.
Like what? But yeah, I agree. That
You
was
mean I
kind
could
of
get
what real.
paid? I could get paid and go hang out with people like Les Brown? Are you kidding me? This is what this industry is all about.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Les Brown. Shout out to Les Brown. He was probably the one. I don't know when I transitioned to him. So I was hardcore sales, like you said. I started the route that you're talking. It was Zig Ziglar. Then I went to Brian Tracy. Then Jim Rohn. Then who was it after that? I think there was one other person, Mike something maybe. And then maybe that's when Les. But then I started really it was YouTube and then a lot of things. And then Les Brown was like, man, yes, wow, yes, oh my God, wow. And it was like, yeah, and it was just a lot of his story, his just his life that he went through,
Yeah.
even the labels he had of the retarded brother and all of these things are. It was like, wow, like if you can break through that, you can break through anything. I
Yeah.
mean, he had such a, and so I think that was
And
it was
his joy and passion as he's telling the stories, you just can't help but smile when you listen to him. I love that dude. That's why his
uh,
name came to top of mind.
I agree. His smile
I've been
is
on a Jim Rohn kick this week, so I've been starting all of my mornings looking through some Jim Rohn clips and quotes and things. So uh, I'm also a huge fan there.
I love Joe. And it's just his voice. He sounds like AI before there was AI. Like, come on, man. That is like AI to the core. It's so nuts. But so we talked about, and just to recap, or I guess finish the stories from Tuesday. So we were talking about the teen dance club, and then you had said, you're doing a business, and then you went to working for people who are doing sales. So I'll give that and kind of how that happened. But so literally after the club, and we were on the news, and my mom's on the news. Patty Flores, organizer, she says it all the time, just like that, because she's like, "Why was I on the news?" But uh, I'm like, "Mom, they probably picked you because you're the oldest. I don't know. You could have blamed me. I would have been on it." But anyway, she was. It was after that point we're like, okay, and we had really, it wasn't just that we ended up, again, it got so big. We had kids coming from places we couldn't control, and like there was kids coming from a half hour, 45 minutes, hour away from the east side of Cleveland, which, anybody who knows Cleveland, I mean, we were west side, this is east side. How This is pre-internet. We weren't advertising. There was no such thing that we even did. It was literally word of mouth, but it was spreading like fire, that we had kids coming from. And then it was trouble, because then it was, again, it was east side, west side, which anybody knows Cleveland, there's a little bit difference of opinion and feelings there. So that brings some trouble. But yeah, so then we ended up having like this big blowout. My dad actually tried to break it up. He fell. I thought he cracked his head open because he was just trying to pull one kid away. No, and it was just this crazy thing. We're like, okay, and then we had the news, and we're like, yeah, this is getting out of hand. We can only handle so much kids in this place. We can't control these parents from bringing these kids, and then they're staying outside because they're coming later or not on time or whatever. So it was just something we couldn't control, that we stopped. And then, but again, we still had the fever, but we, in that time before, trying then what I talked about with Henry LeConte and the nightclub was, I went to just sales. And my first job ever after that was, I was working at Best Buy. First corporate. I've only worked for really two big corporate companies in my life: Best Buy and H. Gregg. Best Buy, I was in the cellular department. That's again why will lead to where I ended up in cellular and as the regional, like I kind of plugged in the beginning. But um, I will tell you, uh, anybody who has a business and you don't understand this, yeah, this is probably the most powerful thing I learned from Best Buy, that if you have salespeople, if you have a team, and you're not getting the most value out of them by trying to rule with fear, you don't need to rule with fear or micromanaging. One thing Best Buy did that I took with me everywhere I ever went to manage was, they called it stack rankings at Best Buy, but basically just where everybody is at. But they did it by department and not by who you are. So, and then one thing Best Buy did really well, because again, Best Buy, I think they've changed. I've heard different things. I don't know if they have commission now, but back then they had no commission. So we sold, and they still sell them today. They're called PSPs, or their performance service plans. See how that stuck with me? But and that's just a warranty. So anybody who knows warranties, it's like insurance. It's just in case. So usually it's just profit in a piece of paper. But it's they were big on every hour, on the hour, get all of the departments together. There's cellular, there's, at that time, electronics. I think there's the game systems, there was, appliance, get all, and just this rah, people are going crazy because where they're at for that past hour or for the day, for PSPs, for all of that stuff. And I thought, wow, this is powerful. Like, look. And then it was when I became regional, or at the cell phone place. Revel was the name of it, Revel Wireless. We were selling North Coast PCS, which then became Revel, and and um, and the guy who owned it actually was a franchise owner of Cricket stores in Utah and Colorado as well. Utah, Colorado, Nevada, and Idaho. And it it was there that I realized, managing, at the time I'm only 25. My average employee is 21. I had at the most 13 stores, maybe 130 plus employees. And we would have meetings once I took over, and we would do, but we had stack rankings. I did because we couldn't meet that often as a team like we did in the store. We used just, I don't know if it's just an Excel sheet back then or what we used, but we had that through every computer that everybody was checking, and we're seeing where they were at. And one thing that I learned most powerful from all of that is there are two types of people, period, in life. This is my belief. There's those who love to win and those who hate to lose. You're one of them. Every single person is one of those two. And it's just figuring out who you are. But from those stack rankings, that's really what kind of always pushed them to compete or want to compete, because we all have a competitive edge. But what is it? Do we want to see ourselves as number one on the list, which was always mine? What I always wanted. If I started a new company when I got into freight brokering, I started with them. I actually started them doing a stack ranking. He wouldn't even give the numbers at first. I'm like, dude, I want to know the numbers. I want to beat everybody else. So he was secretly giving them to me, but then he started to see like things are happening. So he then started to get the okay from everybody else and bleed the numbers out to everybody else. But really, the count everybody has some sort of competitive edge in them, and just figure out who you are. Is it you love to win? Then you want to see where that list is, and you want to know where you're at, and you always want to shoot for the top. That's just who you are. Or it's
I've mellowed over time. I was in the hate to lose category. So
okay.
as a kid, if there was a board game going on and it was obvious the way it was trending, I would flip the table because if you don't finish the game, you don't lose. so, but I've mellowed a bit in the older age here.
I
But
love it.
I've got a question that may be a little off topic. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
you know,
No, no.
we spend a lot of time training and working with companies on doing sales training and just working with people on sales.
Mhm.
When you compare what a huge corporation like Best Buy provided for sales training to get you ready versus what you were getting from the smaller organizations and the franchises, how different was the sales training? Was it comparable?
Good question. I'll tell you. Shout out to any companies who value training, because that made all the difference. No, Best Buy actually did not have very good training. Gregg had amazing training. I mean, they even taught me a strategy that stayed with me for life until cell phones existed and I could write down goals. But one of the things in the beginning stages of Gregg's training was writing down your goals on a piece of paper and keeping them in your pocket and always looking at them daily. 30-day goals, 90-day goals, year goals, 5-year goals. So short term, long term, and that was something that stuck with me forever. I had it written. I could pull it out at any time. I had it up until not too long ago. I was still writing them down and keeping them in my pocket. But they did really good with that sort of mindset training, but then also product training. They understood that knowledge is power, so they would bring in any back in the day, Hitachi was like the big uh, TV brand, and that so they'd bring in Toshiba, right?
Toshiba.
Toshiba and Hitachi, and those they'd bring in the reps from there just to give us like, which would sound like useless knowledge, but like there's gold in all of that to just really trigger. And again, I think that's where, and I'm glad you asked this question. I think that's where a lot of companies fail in sales training. They think there's again, not to beat up Grant Cardone, but they think there's closes and there's words to just say, and you could just beat them at people, and it's going to get them to shift. But it's more than just saying the right word to trick somebody. It's understanding like why you're, I guess, getting influencing them to shift their mind. Because me and my brother just talked about this, but again, sales training. Uh, that's where it could be dangerous. I mean, people, I've said it a lot, but it's the thin line of, are you influencing somebody for the benefit of them because you truly believe in what your product or service and what you have to offer, or are you convincing them or deceiving them or persuading them to buy something that they don't need, to not listen to what they're really trying to do, and trying to save, because again, in sales, where they teach, probably the biggest struggle of sales and teachings of sales is the security that people have. Again, any sale or the mindset of I have this money, I see this, I have 5 grand in the bank, and I know if I pay for this, I don't have that anymore, and that security is gone. Um, that's what usually holds people back. But it, there are things that are taught and things that can be said to make people get out of their own way, but it's using those for the good and not bad. That really is the big difference of sales.
Yeah, so when I do the courses and teach courses like communication breakthrough, and I've got versions that are for management level and some that are sales specific for communication breakthrough. But it's about knowing self, and then understanding the behavior styles of others so that you can connect on a deeper level. But I always throw it out there. I'm like, listen, this is about having a deeper connection so you can accomplish more together. I don't want you to use this for evil. I want you to use it for good. It's not manipulation. It's a deeper connection is what we're looking for.
Exactly, and that's where I think, like, again, Andy Paul wrote an amazing book. He was on the Sales Shadow Live, but sell without selling out. That was what I always felt like. If I didn't totally believe, and that's why I've had so many jobs. I mean, if there seems sketchy, or we're not doing right by the customer, or things are it's not what it said it was, or whatever, like, then I don't believe, and I'm not selling that to anybody. Like, that's just not me. And I felt like, is there something wrong with me? Like, why am I not getting this sales idea? Everybody else is selling this stuff, and they don't even care. But why do I care? And then it was his book was like, that's why I care, because, like, there are really two sides, and I was beating myself up like I wasn't a good salesperson. Um, but I just kind of took a different, um, I guess, a different approach. But yeah, I think it's all in the approach of who you're learning it from too. Grant Cardone's style and a lot of the older styles are heavy on the close, because they're still thinking that it's all mind control, and that's what I say. I mean, I'm just gonna tell them that's what I feel it is. It's just mind control or really screwing with people. If you're heavy on the close, and what you're talking about is how I think every sale should be, the closing should be the easiest part. That should be 10% of the sale. The easiest thing should be really just making sure they're happy with the decision again. Hey, thank you for your business. Really just finalizing and making sure they're completely satisfied with the decision they made, that they don't feel like, when you leave, they're going to, oh my God, why did I just do that? And have that buyer's remorse. Because again, it's security. It's security. People have money and they think that's security. And I can't give this to you unless I know that what you're going to do for me is actually what I need. And so, to
So
your
what do you
point,
think?
it's relationship.
So so we agree that's the word that we were going to go to is relationships, and
Mhm.
so I'm glad you went there, because there's a big train of thought, school of thought now that says relationship sales is old, it's passe in the world of funnels and digital and all the things that are out there now, that relationship selling is dead. Why do you believe that's not true?
I believe that's 100% not true, because of what some of these people are able to do today on YouTube, on and social media. Um, they're 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 s- they're able to get a group of and build a community and just sell endlessly a lot of things to that same community, because they have a relationship, because they trust this person, and they trust that whatever they're bringing to them does have value, because they've already proved the value from the relationship to begin with. I don't think, I think if anything, that's corporate America, because corporate America has totally, by the way they've uh, built these bigger companies. I mean, that's why you get a totally different experience at a McDonald's, especially depending on where you go, versus a Chick-fil-A.
Right.
Chick-fil-A again is not uh, a true franchise, because the owner only owns like a small percentage and really is an employee or manager of the location. But still, because of him having that ownership and bleeding that down to the team and serving his team serves their customers. And so it's all relationship. It's all relationship. You go to McDonald's, you don't get that. But most of these people, again, I'll tell the story. COVID was the greatest example of that. East of Chicago. So before moving um, to Ohio, or before moving to Virginia Beach, when we were in Ohio, we were very on the borderline of, You go this direction on the streets, and you don't want to go that direction, especially later. You go this direction, you're okay. But so I made the decision for the last time, ordering any kind of food during COVID or anything like that during COVID from that side. And so east of Chicago, go there. I show up, and there's just this lady. She's not in a uniform at all. Nothing says east of Chicago on her. And um, it's just her. Phone's ringing off the hook. People are just standing there. I'm like, what is going on? So I asked her, I'm like, are you, are you here alone? She's like, oh yeah, my driver called off. My boyfriend's actually helping drive. She just had her boyfriend come in to help because she didn't have any help from anybody. Where's the leadership team? So I went right to, are you guys a franchise? And she said, yeah, yeah. And then this is the comment that frustrates me, guys. This is the problem with you franchises out there that act like this. She said, yeah, it's a group of brothers. They're rich and they own a bunch of these. And I'm like, okay, first off, you shouldn't think that. Second, why aren't they here helping you? Where are they? This is theirs. But and she was, had no answer. She just, oh, they're too busy. Thought they were above her and better than her. That's already red flag. Like that's what's going on. That's what was wrong with everything in that picture. But it was crazy. I wanted to help. I was a customer. I asked her. I said, "Can I help? Like, is there anything you want me to answer the phone or something?" Like, I'll help. And she's like, no, no, you don't have to do that. But yeah, it was crazy. I felt so bad. But that was, again, the corporate world, these people pumping money into franchises. They don't really care. They have no purpose. They have no mission. It's just money growing money. And they just want to talk about their money. And this bled down to employees, which clearly bled down to us, the customer. And I'm like, whoa, this is nuts. But that's corporate America. And you see that that's still today. They can't pay people to do the crap anymore than they did before because the world has completely shifted. So people are not going to do that. They're not going to treat people that way. People are not just a number or a dollar sign anymore. People matter. So yeah, relationships 100% matter more than anything in the world.
Hell, and all of our successful guests have come on and proven this out
Yeah,
because they're building relationships with their staff, they're building relationships with the client, with the community, they're giving back. But so I'm right
every
there with
every single one said the same thing. You're right. Yeah, I mean it's community. Most of our guests, even Tony and Danielle, they were big on. They first words they said were they wanted to build a business to take care of their employees
for them.
for them. Yeah, yeah, for them. That and that's what it has to be. But there's there's not that, unfortunately,
Yeah.
all the way around. But
No,
yeah,
I'm still a big believer in relationships. You know that we talk about this
oh
a
yeah,
lot when we're
oh yeah,
talking about when we're working with some of the people we talk to and things. We still go back to 40% build the relationship, 30% properly identify the need, 20% present what your solution is, 10% close, and the close should virtually take care of itself if you did the first two right.
absolutely. If you qualified right, if you found their pain points and what they really, why they called you to begin with, whatever product or service you have, finding out truly, and again, you want to know if you're a good salesperson, you'll always feel like you're on their team and you'll always feel like you're trying to figure out how to do this for them because you know that it's going to benefit whatever they actually called you for to begin with, whatever the true problem is or reason. If you feel like you're on their team and you almost like refuse to not close because you're like, oh my goodness, like if you don't do this, I'm going to feel bad. You're selling like you that's sell, but get them out of their own way. You need to do that now it's okay to use those words, but that
So
happens in the
let me
fact
ask you this
finding and
trick.
stuff.
Let me ask you this trick because a lot of time relationship selling is kind of geared toward big ticket items where there's a long period of time from initial contact to close. You were in the retail setting where you've only got maybe seconds to make the connection. How did you build relationships in that setting where it's really more of a commodity? It's not like a long time to get to know the person.
I love that you asked that. So yeah, so the cell phone stores, again, back to the regional manager position. Most of our stores were kiosk and malls. And so you're an island. And again, this is not just a storefront where, okay, this is a Best Buy and they're coming in and we know they're coming in for this. They're going to a mall. They're going for anything or they might not be shopping for anything. So it's all about attention and just the right trigger. So we'd actually throw things to them. We'd have stress balls that we gave for free, and we'd throw it to them, or just different swag. Then we ended up doing, I think, like a phone and stuff. But yeah, it was just getting their attention, and then finding it, and just building that relationship, just talking to them. We didn't try to hit them with a sell, but it was really just strike a conversation, because most people won't just strike a conversation. They're always, especially a salesperson, especially in the mall, especially those people, come here, give me your hand. Oh,
Oh yeah.
they're instantly trying to sell.
I'm just looking. I'm
Like,
just
don't,
looking. Get
you're
away from me.
selling me right away. Like, you're forcing me. Stop. Don't do that. You're scaring people, really. But yeah, it's don't ask anything, but just start to just strike up conversation, noticing something they're wearing. Maybe it's a shirt they're wearing. So I'd have them, and that was strategies that then in home sales we would do. So as you're walking up, stickers on a car, they went to the school, maybe they're a fan of this, a flag, and you're looking at these things, so there's some commonality. And if you could find something in that few seconds where you connect, then
Who do
that's
they
all.
know that I know? Where have they been that I've been? What do they like that I like? Yeah, that's the old strategy. So I guess with malls dying, the kiosk are kind of a thing of the past. But
They
we
are.
we did have, we had the I had the tax kiosk. That was my first franchise as a
Okay.
franchise. And so the way we would engage was free information. You know, come in, ask your tax questions, no obligation whatsoever, and get people to
Uh,
just ask questions. But the other thing is, it's hard, even a stress ball or something free. It's hard to give things away because people think, well, if I take this, I'm obligated to sit here for an hour.
they
And so,
do. They
we would
do.
have things that we were giving
They
out
do.
and people wouldn't take it. What we learned is if we would attach it to a Hershey bar, they would take it. So we gave away a ton of chocolate.
Chocolate. There's the secret. There's the secret, guys. Give away chocolate. That, or, coach, we gotta go to it. So one of the strategies I did learn that really I feel like connected from the days of Club Kobe, which made it really the word of mouth, which is the greatest referral source and the greatest testament to if you actually have something that people value, they're going to tell people. And so uh, it was really not until the Rebel days. So we, again, average employee, 19 years old. How do you keep a 19-year-old motivated and doing things? Was tough, was different. Stack ranking helped a lot, but we even in that. So when I first took over as regional, we were very high hourly. Like we were probably higher hourly than most other places like that. That's why we were able to probably get some good or better employees than some of the other cell phone places at the time, but our commission was very low. And I was like, Brian, why don't we? So we played with the commission structure a little bit, and that's where we fell into the trap. And this is again, this is sales. This is that fine line. And are you going to push it to where you shouldn't be going? And that's where we learned. But again, it's word of mouth spread like wildfire. And some of our stores started getting a bad reputation. Don't go there, they're going to rip you off. Don't go there, they're selling these earbuds. Now, this was so I'm wearing like this, two. These were back in the day, just one with the speaker going to the phone. It's all it was in a little plastic baggie. It looked like a drug dealer baggie on top of it. Like not professional in any way. And that's where accessories came from back in the day, before Amazon, guys. This was accessories were dirt cheap, and it was crazy. But um, that was where the margin was too. But it was in these little baggies, and I had kids out of one of my stores selling those for $40 to $60 a piece to people, and they were getting pissed off. And I'm thinking, well, how did they talk you into that? Like, why did you even do that? But then I'm thinking, like, why are you guys doing that? Like, that's, and then it spread, and people started, don't go there. They're charging crazy prices. We're like, you guys can't do this. And so this is where we then tweak the commission again to a little bit more evenly, and not so high commission side, but more uneven base. But then we introduced this guy Bob Farrell, and so Brian, I don't know where he found him, if he did a training, and obviously we talked about it. I showed you the video before, but and very similar to Stan. So these are new theories that have been rebranded to even more today. So Stan Phelps, I can't wait. Hopefully, good friend of Coach here. I actually got to meet him at the Loyalty Brands conference. He was our speaker, and he's amazing. His books are amazing. You go look him up. But really gets into kind of the nuts of this. But this was something that just stuck with me forever, like the other one that I'll kind of plant the seed that we're going to talk about later in these crazy episodes. But is make a sandwich. If you feel comfortable, you think you want to know if you're ready to make the sale, make a sandwich. That was a strategy. We'll get into that another episode. But this one, I'm not even going to give it away because as soon as you guys hear and see the video, but 3-minute video, can't wait to share it. As soon as you hear it, it's going to be catchy, and that's probably what stuck with me forever. And so clever for Bob for using that.
Yeah,
But
that's how we got the paid speaking gigs.
exactly. But and so clever for him for using that. But it also ended up being like he says, the war cry of his business. So we'll get into this, and then Coach we'll spend the last 10 minutes just breaking it down.
We're in show business. The curtain's up. They walk into our business.
Darn it.
My name is Bob Farrell, and I've been very fortunate to work a lifetime at something I love doing, serving customers. For me, it was ice cream parlors. For you, maybe it's retail, healthcare, finance, etc. Whatever we do, remember, our business is not what we sell, it's who we serve. You and I are in the people business. We take care of people for a living. Hopefully, they leave happier than when they came in. At least that's what we try for. One of the best things that ever happened to me was to get a letter from a disappointed customer. Dear Mr. Farrell, I've been coming to your restaurant ever since you opened. I really love the place. Love your ice cream. I love the fun. I love your hamburgers. They're the best. I love your pickles. They are the best pickle in Seattle. I always ask for an extra pickle. They always give me one. Today, Mr. Farrell, I came in, had my usual, asked for an extra pickle from the young waitress. Well, I don't know where she got the idea, but she said, well, I'll have to sell you a side of pickles for 75 cents. If that's the way you're going to run your restaurant, Mr. Farrell, I'm not coming back. Well, I got that letter, and from an entrepreneur who's just starting on his second store. That hurt. I wrote him a letter. I said, please, we still give pickles away. Don't you worry about it. Da-da-da. Please come back. Gave him a coupon. But what happened is, I thank him to this day. The war cry of our company became, give them the pickle. Take care of the customer. No matter what happens in our business and we hear something going on, somebody says, well, should we do it? Give them the pickle. I talk to companies all over the world. No matter where I go, I always find that successful companies and successful employees have mastered the same 4 things when it comes to taking care of customers. The first thing they do is give away pickles. They make people happy. In other words, they've made serving others their #1 priority. I spoke to a bunch of garbage men. They brought me in to speak on customer service. I gave the talk, and they gave me a big hand. They loved it, da-da-da-da. And after my talk, the guy comes up. He said, Mr. Farrell, I love your story about the pickle. I said, well, thank you. He said, we give pickles away all summer. I'm thinking garbage truck, pickles. This guy's got it screwed up. I said, what do you mean you give pickles away? He says, we start lawnmowers. I said, what? We start lawnmowers. What do you mean? He said, well, my son and I, we drive around. He helps me in the summertime. And we see somebody up on their lawn cranking away. We stop the truck, go up there, and we stop the lawnmower for them. We can start any lawnmower ever made. I says, you got it. That's the pickle. What's your pickle? What is that extra or special thing you do to make people happy? That's your pickle. Maybe it's walking the customer to the item they're looking for instead of just pointing. Maybe it's a handwritten thank you on every order shipped out to the customer. Maybe instead of just delivering their food, patients get a menu so they can order what they want when they want it. The trick is to find out what the customer wants. Make sure they get it. That's the pickle.
I love it.
Yeah.
Give them the pickle, y'all. That's
Give
real.
them a pickle.
That's really. I mean, we would obviously 19-year-old kids, 20-year-old kids. We had a lot of fun just saying, "Give them the pickle," but it really stuck with them to what is that extra? And I think if you're a business owner today, if you just started a business, if you're wondering where your customers are, what customers to get, figure out your pickle. Figure out who your customer is, and then figure out your pickle. Don't think everybody is your customer because that's what everybody says. One of the greatest lessons I learned from BNI and networking is being very super specific with your 60-second commercials. Something in networking and BNI is your commercial. You get up and it's basically an elevator pitch, and it's to practice. So if anybody asks you what do you do, so you can go and be very specific to what you do. But even though they would keep banging that in people's heads, oh, well, anybody looking for, no, no, you're not getting it. Be very specific to who you want to work with, and who you're looking for. And then give them the pickle. I mean, that's it.
And
What is that
and
extra?
it's so easy to fall for that trap of looking for reasons to say no. No, we can't do that. No, we shouldn't do this. No, we can't add that. How about change your mindset and look for reasons and ways to say yes more often, and find something, find what that pickle is. But that's the whole reason I thought about Stan and his book The Purple Goldfish, because he created, his company 9 Inch Marketing, because the average, from the brain stem down to the top of the heart, is about 9 inches, and that's where we got to get us from here
Yeah,
to the heart, so that we can collect them. But one of the ways to get to somebody's heart is you give them what the Cajuns would call lanyap, and that's just a little bit extra. And so that's why he went with the purple for the goldfish, was because Cajun Mardi Gras purple, it kind of fit. But the goldfish came from the Kipton hotels. Business travelers would come in lonely. They would provide them with a friend. They'd have a fish that they would take to the room and have somebody to stay with them for the visit. And so he kind of took that and said, I'm going to find 1,001. Basically, I'm going to go find 1,001, in his mind, goldfish. But in our mind, in this context, he was looking for 1,001
pickles.
pickles.
Yeah,
And so he looked for companies that were giving a little bit extra, and then highlights them in the book. And since that book came out and was so successful, now there's tons of different colors of goldfish, and
sure
different
are.
ideas.
Yeah.
But it's the whole concept is just look for a way to give more than they expect.
Mhm. Again, even as simple as and and I wondered where. So after watching some of these videos, and I showed you another one that we'll get in, we'll share a little bit later from Bob. But I wondered where a lot of these things that have stuck with me. That was one thing that. So when me and Maggie were doing the online liquidation, the handwritten note, I clearly got it from him and that. But that's one thing that I would do. And she's like, "Why are you writing thank you on everything with this smiley face?" I'm like, "It's just the extra. I'm telling you." But I didn't know where I got it. I didn't know where it really, I forgot where it came from. That was really it. It was just when people see that handwritten instead of just a stamped, they know you took the time. Like, guys, that is why a relationship and why it's more than just a transaction. But if they know that you care because they see you did a little bit extra or took the time to just handwrite something instead of just stamp a bunch of things, that for the customer, especially if you're looking for that specific customer, like that's the kind of customer I want. I want somebody who's going to value the extras that I do. If that's your customer and you want to give extra, that's who you're looking for. That's exactly
Yeah,
who you're looking
and it doesn't have to be earth shattering. It just has
for.
to be a little bit extra. I mean, think of all the packages we get from Amazon and all these other places, and every now and again you'll open one, and there'll be like a little bag of candy or something just thrown in with a thank you,
Yeah,
and it stands out. You remember that,
a
and
100%.
it doesn't take much.
100. I mean, here I have these darn things here just because this is that little bit of extra. I talked about this, but this was to Cooper from his teacher, handwritten, just a postcard. She did it to all the kids, and just see you soon. And this is before school started. That's the extra. That shows you care. Even this, again, a hospital, urgent care, or whatever you want to call them, but patient first. They sent a letter just because we were waiting a little bit longer, and usually we don't wait at all in that place, which is insane by itself. But the fact that we just waited a little, like not even to the point where I wasn't bothered by how long we waited, but they still sent that. And when I read that, I'm like, get out of here. Like that's the extra. Like that's how you do it. You'll never you want to make a customer for life or stealing, John Hewitt again, you want to make a fanatical fan. That's how you do it. Do the little bit of extra. And uh, I've talked about them how many times now?
Well, and we've also talked about one of our John favorites, which is what's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary?
Little bit of
It's just
extra,
that little bit
just a little extra. That's it.
extra.
That's it. Ah, coach, this is fun. Triggering, and as we're talking about these stories and going through this, it's bringing up more stuff like the other one. A video we'll end up showing later, but this was one that I never really understood where I got it from. I would say it to myself. I'd say it to people that I was training in sales. Like, you're on stage. This is like, they don't care what else is going on right now. Like, I understand you're dealing with these issues and all of these things, but the customer doesn't care, and that's not going to change. And I always wondered, like, where did that mentality come from? It's actually Bob too. That was another video, but I was like, wow. And that's again, these videos I haven't seen, and this was 2005 to 2007, so that's 18 years ago. I mean, it stuck with me forever. But
That's funny that just a couple of questions triggered the memory that got you to go look for these videos. That's pretty
isn't
cool.
that nuts? Yeah, I was like, hold on, we gotta. Now that we're talking more on sales and really my bread and butter that I'll love, because again, sales is not what people think it is. There's the people out there that are still teaching sales not the right way, where you're hard closing, and then there's the ones who get it. Like again, Andy Paul with Sell Without Selling Out. You're just trying to help somebody fix their problem if they called for a real problem that they actually have. But you, as the professional, need to find that out. Asking the right questions and really caring and really believing that what you have, either product or service, will fix their problem. Once you have that, and again, if you're one of those people that right now you're selling and you feel like, well, I don't believe anything. My installers are crap. The product fails. We're dealing with this, all this stuff. It's not even real or whatever. Get out, because it's just going to hurt you. It's just going to hurt your career. It's going to hurt the way that you think of selling. It's going to hurt the way you think of people. Because in the end, business and life is just people, and it's just again, sell or be sold. I'll end with this. Was Grant Cardone's one of his first books that I read. And this is where it disappointed me, because now seeing some of his training, he's still heavy on the close, which he pitched highly in the book against Dale Carnegie's trainings of the brain control. I mean, anybody who hasn't been through like the old school Dale Carnegie and those trainings, it was they look this way, you look this way. If they talk slow, you talk slow. If they do this, you do this. Like you're marrying them and trying to trick them, almost like you're a snake serpent, like you're lulling them into like a trance. Like what?
So I'm not completely opposed to the neuro linguistic programming and mirroring and matching and all that sort of thing. Again, it's a tool for connection, not a tool for manipulation.
Absolutely.
It's how it's
It's
taught.
how
Is
it's
is it taught to connect or is it taught to manipulate?
exact, and that's what frustrates me about Grant's book, because he totally bashes them like it was brainwashing and you can't do that, but he's still heavy on clothes. Like, come on, man! Like that's not what you're saying is not what you're teaching. And so yeah. Anyways, build a relationship, find the problem, do all the selling in the front. The close should be the easiest part. You shouldn't have to beat people up, trick them, or force them to totally do something at the end that they don't want to do. If they're not ready to do it now, give them time, keep following up, and actually care, and keep the relationship going. Don't force them. I had a lot of places, and again, if there's any in-home places, thankfully I haven't worked for any or worked with any recently that do this still. But the one that this is the price today. If I leave, this is not, like, give that up too, guys. That doesn't work anymore. You're just being a, I'm gonna swear, you're just being a dick. But really, don't do that. It's not. Uh, if you could give a 24-hour price, you could give it tomorrow too. Don't do it. And again, there's just a lot of tricks that are not. They don't need to be. Do the right thing, sell it the right way, find their actual problem, actually care, build a relationship, find some commonality, and see if you really do have, then yeah, I agree, coach. Do whatever you need to help them get out of their own way. But again,
Yes.
that's truly, now we're back to where I always go to with Hitch. And that's that movie and that line in that movie that I think was golden out of that whole movie. And the girl at the end is all mad at Will Smith, who plays Alex Hitchens in the movie, or the love doctor. And she says, "You trick people." And he said, "No, I don't trick people. I help them get out of their way to find what they really need." Because most people, especially relationship wise, are looking at the outside of the box. They don't really know what's inside the box. And so, don't, another superficial thing, but it really is. He's trying to, in the movie, he was just trying to help people realize that they actually want different than what they think they do. And that's helping people get out of their own way. And that's
So back to just kind of the NLP and that sort of thing, and negotiation skills. Those skills are important, and the ability to close is important, and handling objections is important. All those things, we're not saying that they don't matter. We're just saying they need to be done in the right way. But a book that we need to dig into, Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. He's former hostage negotiator.
mm,
Incredible. His masterclass is really good too on the masterclass app. But we should dig into that at some point. So we should pencil that
yeah,
in.
yeah. Let's do that. We'll definitely have to do that. Let's get that. You don't have to text me the book, but we're gonna have to close that. We're gonna end now, but yeah, really, it's Coach, this is fun. I like doing these shows. I like kind of getting into these stories. Don't want to get into more loyalty or liberty days and kind of the craziness there, but I'll and want to start with some of the beginners. So the next week, guys, we're going to get a little more into Coach with new franchisees mindsets and what they kind of dealt with and what he had to help them, kind of where you might be stuck in that same position right now if you bought into a franchise but don't have a coach like John had with Coach Stacy here. You know, we're gonna kind of get in. I want to get into that a little bit and what you were seeing over and over again. Like, what were some of the things you kept seeing and kept having to kind of push people through, just like I talked about with sales. I want to see what are those things that. Uh,
The names will be changed to protect the innocent.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. None of my names were the same either, even though I'm not. No, I'm not sure if they were or not. But yeah, 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 we're protecting everybody. Again, we're not. We just really want to. I just want to share. I just like sharing these stories, and if anybody could, again, I think people. I've learned most from my mistakes. I'll say it as we're doing these episodes now, but I've learned most from my mistakes. When things are going right or good, I didn't really learn anything, and so I only want to share these and want love when we have guests on the show because people's stories, you can always pick up something and learn something, and that's what I think. Again, if you have stories like this, if you've have experiences like this, with crazy journeys of your business you're currently in, or your startup was rocky and crazy, or you were gonna start something up and you ended up going a different direction, like, we want, come on with us. We want to have you as a guest. We want to share those stories. We want to be able to connect as many dots as we can for people so that they don't have to go through the same struggles, because again, we aren't, and I think John said this a bunch too, like, most everything has been already tried or done. Like, you're not reinventing anything really anymore. So, like, find the people who have already done it and, like, learn from them, like, learn from their pain. Don't have to go through the same mistakes. Get rid of the ego, get rid of the pride, ask for help, especially if you don't know the industry that you bought into or the franchise or brand you got into. Like, ask for help. Find the top franchisees who are doing and what they're doing, what's working, what doesn't work, and believe them. They have proof they're doing it. Uh,
And it's not like it was when we were trying to start things, when it was, years ago, when you couldn't find the information anywhere. Now the information is all at your fingertips if you're just willing to take the time and effort to go get it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's all there, guys. It's now. Coach, I'll have to say, I think it's harder now though, because there's so much information. So much of it
Yeah.
is bad, or again, just another salesperson selling some BS that they never tried or used, just a theory or an idea, or hey, I'm going to make some money saying this, but it doesn't actually work. Um, I think even more to that, go to the Robert Kiyosaki thing, guys. Find out if they're actually doing it first. Robert's advice that I held on to is I ask everybody if they're trying to sell me or tell me anything. I say, "Oh, do you use it? How's it working for you?" And if they're like, "Oh no, I've never used it before," I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah. Well, and
what?
once you find them,
What?
there's going to be multiple people that fit that. Just pick a voice. Don't try to listen to them all. Pick one.
Yes, yes, yeah. Pick your style and like it. I think we have our bread and butter. Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, Les Brown. I mean, we got yeah, we got a
Yeah, and
plethora of
and
things.
and and I can listen to Tony Robbins and he's fine, but he's not my go-to. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not that I disagree with anything that he says. It's his style doesn't connect. So find somebody whose style connects and their values connect and
I
pick
love
one.
that you. I'll finish with this, coach, and then we'll any last thoughts, and we'll go out. But uh, I did that same thing. I had that same, and that's been my progression. Again, in the beginning, I listened to a lot of Zig, Brian Tracy, all those. I don't really listen to them much. My go-tos now are Gary Vee, Alex Ramosi. I really love what they're doing, what they're talking about, very in line with what we're trying to do, and the people we're trying to help. So, and I just Gary Vee again, regardless of his harsh words, I grew up in that world, so I understand it. I mean, again, people swore like sailors. Nobody would be. I remember when I told John that the first time when we had to talk about Gary Vee, and he's like, "Oh, I don't like Gary Vee." He's like, "You like Gary Vee? Doesn't he swear too much? You never swear." And I'm like, "I don't care if other people swear, but." Uh, and I did used to swear probably a lot back then. It's just something that yeah, I don't get the I guess the feeling of it or the great feeling that maybe Gary does, but still he I think mindset wise is a lot on the ideas that we are that it's really just the connection, empathy, understanding. Anything else can be fixed. Like you're at the top for a reason. You need to fix it. Like fix your people, take care of your people. Like you're give them a job and you're giving them a job, and your job is actually when you give somebody else a job to help them be good at their job and do their job as good as they can.
So,
And that's
real quick on that, in those early Liberty days, there was one particularly bad thing going on, and I don't curse a lot, but when I do, it might it might come in a big way. And so I finally had reached the limit and I let it fly. And Mary Jane happened to be in earshot and she just came by and she went, if you'd really like to stay at this company very long, you better not let John Hewitt hear you say that, talk like that. And so
really
she let me know pretty early that
so
John's not
he's
going
always not been a fan of swearing. Okay, yeah, because he was. I mean, right away he was like, "Oh, I don't like him." I'm like, "Really?
to.
Oh my
No,
god,
I don't like I say, I don't cuss a lot.
I don't
But
either." Yeah.
there comes a
It'll come
time.
out. Oh yeah,
There
yeah.
comes a time where
It'll come out
sometimes
of me too. It'll come out of me too. But yeah, it has to be. I guess it has to be a real strong. Like Gary just it flows out. It has to be strong. If I swear, yeah, I'm probably there's probably a little edge. There's probably the Tasmanian devil inside of me causing that storm. There's probably a lot of more things coming on if those words come out. So yeah,
So I was married in my own home with my parents visiting, and a ball game was on, and I just let one word fly. It wasn't even a really bad word, and my mama goes, "You're never going to be too old for me to put you over my knee." So I wasn't raised in a household where it was a very common thing. I had to be taught that at school.
I agree. You know, that's funny. My parents were the same. My parents growing up, we I don't know if we were just afraid to swear. Yeah, we never swore. Actually, funny story on that. I'll end with this. The babysitter we had, shout out Annette, but she had some friends with her when she was babysitting me and my brothers one time, and they were like, write down. We were young. They're like, write down all the swear words, and we'll give you something. And they're like, oh, we're gonna tell your parents, and we were freaking out because we were like, no, 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 oh my god, like we were so scared that they were actually gonna show like our parents. So yeah, I don't know if it was really big not to swear, but yeah, it was not okay to swear as a kid, and we never swore in front of our parents until really later on. It was just the respect thing. I think that's what's missing today is just, and that's probably John's big thing. It comes off in at the right timing, the right thing, maybe it's okay. But most of the time, it is a little bit disrespectful, especially to people who don't like the words.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I
I,
guess my shout out would have to go, I guess, to Dan Bryant, who learned from his brother William. But in elementary school, he taught me every cuss word in the book. all
And
kinds of limericks, all kinds of dirty limericks and things. It was
that's so
he was
funny.
my cursing mentor, I guess.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. Well, Coach, this was fun. Again, thank you for doing this. This has been a blast. Again, if you guys like this, if you found any of it entertaining or anything clicked with you, please like and subscribe. Summit Mentorship, uh, the Robinhood Capitalists. Again, we're here. We just want to help. Our mission: 10,000 families creating heaven on earth. And very simple. And it's just about purpose, like we talk about, intention and self-awareness. You line those things up, and you're going to create your heaven on earth. I promise. So, Coach, have a great weekend.
Yeah, man.
Until Tuesday.
Yeah, man. See you Tuesday.
I'm always on the red eye. This time around, it's not even about getting paid. I'm just an